So, I actually, unlike a lot of people, didn't grow up in a church. I basically kind of just grew up with my mom, who my biological father kind of abandoned me and my mom when I was 6 years old. And that just was a huge part of my story because I didn't really realize what an impact that made into my life until about, I believe it was sophomore year, where it just all kind of came crashing down into a moment of why I just had such a hard time trusting people, letting them get close to me. And then I just had this one consistent friend, and he was just always telling me, like, come to church, come to church. Well, at the time I was going to this other church, and it was a smaller baptism church, but I didn't really feel connected there. We read the Bible, but I didn't really know what that meant for my life. It just honestly felt like reading a boring book. And then the end of junior year, I finally was able to convince my mom to let me go to this church, Lake City. And when I went there, it was just crazy because the message was basically about like healthy like sexuality, and I didn't really like understand why we were learning about that. But it turns out like I get into this life group, and I know probably like 2 people, and I just open up my entire testimony about how my father left me. When everyone's talking about their like past relationships, I'm talking about my father. And it was just this really cool moment of just realizing that because my father left me, I never looked to God at all, because I just saw him as a ruler. I didn't see him as a fatherly figure, because how can God the Father love me when my own father didn't? So in that moment, I just realized that Jesus has just always been in my life, and he was there in those moments where I truly felt broken. And I did a lot of mistakes in middle school and high school, and I realized just in those moments that he was there, that I wasn't alone, that I was never abandoned, that he was always there. Even though I didn't grow up with the fact knowing God, I just grew up with the fact that I just saw him as like this ruler just dictating my life, every move, and that I was so fearful of letting him in my life because I just had this fear that he would just leave. But in reality, he was there before I even knew him, and so it's just this really cool moment. I just have become more of a positive person instead of just always living negatively, looking at my life just in such a negative outlook. I just have felt almost like a 180 where everything just was a little bit more positive, and I just devoted more time to just serving and growing and consistently pursuing God, because I know there's so much more growing I still have to do. And then I just began to make really cool relationships with people and just be part of this amazing community that has welcomed me into their family. Yeah, so having just that community in my life, they just really were that great example of just how to love others, how to be there consistently for others, and it was basically just like family. And that also gave me the courage. It was actually kind of funny because after I graduated, literally the summer of, I became a youth group leader. So only knowing Jesus for 2 years of my life, I took up a new role and co-leaded with one of my really good friends, Brittany, and we led a small group of freshman girls, and that was challenging but also so rewarding, because even though I helped them grow and into their faith more with Jesus, I also grew myself as a leader and as a Christ follower. Hi, my name is Kat Schoutens, and I am part of a greater story.